3 ohms. Turning your hands at the heart center. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, let's begin. Yoga for back and neck pain. So today we'll be covering the aspects of back pain, what is back pain and what are the symptoms and so forth, and also how yoga helps. So let us start with the statistics. One of the main reasons for people visiting doctors is back pain for the most part. Many lost hours of work, many people experience severe problems with back pain. Although it seems like, okay, one of the common things, it's not something that one can feel okay about. It's one of the most subtle and most required aspect of the body. To some extent, if our legs hurt, then we can sit down and work. But if back hurts, nothing makes us comfortable. And this is something that many of us, almost 80% of us, face in our lives. And also, especially people who work, whether they work in the heavy lifting kind of job, or people who are doing a lot of sitting job, or even people like doctors who are constantly standing, they do experience the back pain. And low back pain is responsible for 40% of the lost work days, according to some statistics. Now, what are the general causes of back pain? Back pain can be categorized mainly into two categories. The causes of back pain, that is functional causes and structural causes. When we say functional causes, anything that is not structural cause is a functional cause. What does that mean? Structural cause is where we really, in an MRI or an X-ray, one can see a deformity of some kind. Could be a spine deformity by congenital deformity, that is, by birth something is, the spine structure is wrong, or could be due to injury, could be due to arthritis, many reasons. So one can really see that the vertebrae alignment or vertebrae structure is messed up in some ways. Whereas functional causes is when it's said to be functional cause when there is a muscle involved for the most part, and not the spine as a structure, and everything is fine, it's just the muscle spasm. It could be torn ligaments, anything like that due to overuse, or could be weakness due to underuse, weakness of core or weakness of back. These are functional causes. And why is back pain so common? What is the main cause, main reason, I should say, for back pain? More than animals, it's humans who face back pain, because we have started walking on two legs, and the center of gravity is very small. And if posture is not absolutely correct, or if there could be a million reasons why back pain can happen, because the center of gravity is so small, and we have to balance on two legs. Whereas in case of animals, there are four legs and the spine is horizontal, so it's well supported. So this is one of the main reasons for back pain and also neck pain. And due to especially the lower back, lumbar region, and its curvature also, the way you see the back is curved, due to that also, there is a lot of load that the lumbar region, just a few vertebrae have to take. And that also can be the reason for injury. The amount of mobility that is involved, forward bending, backward bending, twisting. If you see how it just has so many degrees of freedom, at the same time, those many degrees of injury also exist in back. So these are the main reasons. Of course, many other reasons, or rather big causes for back pain would be aging in general. Aging causes problems with the back, neck, or any disorder for that matter. And then there can be benign tumors or cysts for that matter, or cancerous tumors in the spine or in the cervical region that can cause pain. And there can be infection also that can happen there. Injury, you already know, it could be accident injury, or it could be sports related injuries, it could be fall related injuries, or any work related injuries that can cause the problem. And finally, even some of the autoimmune conditions can also cause back pain. There are still many more causes, such as some of the multiple sclerosis, nervous neurodegenerative disorders can cause problems in the back. So let us see what are the structural issues that the back can have. You all might have heard of the word disc prolapse. Basically, the back vertebrae is one of the most beautiful anatomical structures that helps us balance, support, that helps us walk, talk, and also function in such a way that even a jump or even a heavy sports can be performed if back is good, because it's like a car which has struts, where there is a lot of cushion available. There is different ways of mobility that is created there due to different ways the back moves, the spine moves. So one of the structures that back has is this vertebra, where the disc of the vertebra has a jelly-like nucleus, which helps us keep the cushion. It's like a shock absorber. Whereas with age or with injury or with various reasons, this central nucleus can squeeze out of its original place, and it doesn't stay in the original place. So what will happen with that is that the pain can radiate to the legs because the nerves get pinched. So that can cause the back pain. It's called slip disc. And also degeneration, like we said, wear and tear due to overuse, due to sports, various reasons, or stress can also cause degenerated disc. Disc itself becomes thinner, and that can pinch the nerve, and it can cause the pain, which radiates. Spondylosis is another condition. Spondylolisthesis is the word, where in this case the spine, the bone in the spine itself slips out of the proper position. So we'll see this next picture here, which talks very beautifully about various conditions here. Normal disc is the way you are seeing on the top. Degenerative disc is when the space in the disc gets thinner. Bulging is if you see this bulge here inside, the liquid pops out of the original position from the central annulus, and that can happen. When that bulge increases or when the wear and tear increases, it can also completely herniate from the annulus, and that can cause further pain. And then over a period of time, the degenerative disc can become so thin that it just simply, there is no space between the two vertebrae, and that will pinch the nerves tremendously, and that is how it looks like. And then apart from that, there is something called osteophytes that can happen. When the disc gets thinner, there's a lot of rubbing of the bones against each other. And so there is the calcification happens. That is because the bone starts wearing out. There is body's repair mechanism, which is going to create some calcification, just like how when you are injured and then later, like in the muscle, when you get bruised, then what happens? The scar tissue is produced, right? You will see that after 3 or 4 days, it starts becoming black and it becomes rough, and then a new tissue is formed, and sometimes the coloration of the also changes. It's no longer original color of the skin. So that kind of thing happens even at the bone level, where it starts producing osteophytes so that it can repair. But unfortunately, it cannot repair the original way, and there will be a lot of little calcification that will be there, and that also can cause problems for us. And the pain can happen because of that, because it's not exactly uniformly fixing it. And other forms of back pain could be structural problems. That is, there are this spine curvature that is not normal. What you can see that the normal spine is in the center here, where there are two curvatures. One is at the bottom called the lumbar curvature, and then there is a dorsal curvature here, and then the neck itself has a curvature. So you can see that there are two dips. One is at the neck and the other is at the lumbar region, and then there is a bulge here at the dorsal region. So that is a normal spine. But when there is a kyphosis, the kyphotic spine, we can say, or kyphosis happens, the bulge is too much. And you may have seen people with hunchback, and they have kyphosis. That's pretty easily recognized in many cultures. We can see people walking like that. And lordosis is when people have too much curvature in the lumbar region at the lower spine, and it is here on the right side. You can see that. And then scoliosis is another one, which is very common, where we can see that there is a curvature which is lateral, the lateral curvature, which is abnormal, that exists, and the hips are not even, and shoulders are not even. A very small amount of scoliosis can exist, and people may not even notice that, and they may be walking around with scoliosis. Over a period of time, they may develop back pain. So we will, this is a very common condition, and nowadays schools do a lot of screening and things like that. But in many countries that we have come from, or even in the early days here in the US, that screening did not exist. So many people may be walking with scoliosis condition, and you may be one of them. So make sure to get your spine x-rayed to make sure you don't have scoliosis. Neck pain. There can be similar problems in the neck as well. Disc can prolapse, and neck may shoot down the arm. In case of low back pain, when the disc prolapses or when there is a thinning of the disc, the pain goes through the legs, through hip region. There is one place called sciatic region at the, here I'm not going to show, but I think you guys can show it. And show the place where sciatica happens, and you can show how the pain radiates through the legs all the way up to the toes. The pain can radiate in case of lumbar problem issues, whereas in case of neck pain, the pain shoots down the arm when there are disc issues. That is, spondylosis can happen. And then the other common problem with neck is whiplash injury. I'm pretty sure many of you may have experienced that, where it's such a discomfort. This whiplash can happen with accidents and sudden jerks, or it can also happen as a chronic muscles become weak when you work too much. So it's not always Although it says whiplash injury, it may also be a chronic whiplash problem. So you have to note that it's a pretty painful condition and you just don't feel comfortable at all. This is very common also among people who work a lot with their eyes staring at the computer, and they tend to when that happens, when they work for long hours, they tend to bring their neck forward a little bit. If the eyes are not, if the power is not adjusted properly, they may also strain their neck, and various reasons when these days modern people working on the computers can experience whiplash injury quite a bit. Otherwise, it's usually in a condition where one can feel when there is an accident or sudden jerks, especially in the cars. When an accident happens, whiplash injury can result, and it can be quite painful and it can become quite chronic as well. And then the disc prolapse can happen, even like we said, disc can prolapse, disc can wear out, and various such conditions can happen for the neck as well. Causes of back and neck pain. Here are some general causes of back pain. It can be arthritis, it can be injury, it can be age related, it can be lifestyle related, or it can be stress related. So let us see what are the lifestyle issues. It can be repetitive stress injury, that is, you are doing the same thing over and over again, can be sitting for long hours and typing away. It could be even for that matter, a certain set of repeated yoga postures without properly taking care of your alignment, or it could be overdoing anything. It could be even anything as safe as yoga also can be abused when you repeatedly do it either wrongly or beyond your capacity. So that is the RSI. And obesity can cause back pain because there is a lot of pressure, your weight can cause a lot of stress on the spine. And especially if you have mid-range obesity, then the there's a lot of load because the belly is big, and spine has to balance and adjust that, and that can cause a lot of back pain as well. The core becomes weak also in that case. So then also due to sedentary lifestyle, a lot of couch sitting these days, back is not straight, it's resting against the sofa, and the sofa is not nice and strong either. We tend to go inside, and the whole posture is messed up. That will cause a lot of blood flow issues, less blood flow to the organs for the spine, and weaker hamstrings, weaker hip region, flexibility is reduced. All of these things can happen. Imbalance between activity and rest, of course. Overuse sports, whether you're overdoing the physical activity or underdoing physical activity, that both can result into back pain. And we all know about computers these days, and cell phones also, hunching our back and just looking at the cell phone, whichever way. Nowadays, backpack, children all the way as young as 5-year-olds carry backpacks, and that to walk for a long time, hold the backpacks and stay there in the bus or various places for a long time. That can cause pain over a period of time, even for as young as 10-year-olds nowadays complaining of back pain. Like we said, prolonged sitting, sleeping in the wrong position, sleeping on wrong beds, any of these things can cause back pain. And finally, stress as a big factor in causing the back pain, chronic back pain, that is. Bringing your attention to one important cause, which is arthritis, because some of you may be in your 40s. Osteoarthritis may be one of the main causes. It is one of the main causes of back and neck pain, especially among the mid-age and the later age adults. So that needs to be looked into. And of course, if you haven't done your MRI and other things, it's a good thing to do that, because If you have arthritis, then there are many practices that can help with reversing arthritis as well in yoga. So wear and tear over a period of time can cause arthritis, like we already saw. We talked about osteophytes developing, thinning of the disc. All of that is basically wear and tear, and that's called osteoarthritis basically. Lack of calcium, lack of metabolizing the calcium. It's not about simply swallowing calcium pills. It's about having enough vitamin D in the body to metabolize that calcium, or it could be even wrong diet doesn't help us absorb calcium in the body, because of a lot of ama that we develop inside, a lot of toxins, waste, which is not cleansed, constipation constantly, stomach issues, digestive issues can also cause calcium absorption issues. Swallowing of the antacids can cause calcium absorption problems. So all of that can result into arthritis over a period of time. So you want to think about that as one of the causes, because you want to be aware of what could be your problem and work on addressing that. So when arthritis thins out or can cause disc prolapse or degenerated or herniated disc, then we get pinched nerves. We already addressed that. We already talked about that. That could be one reason, or even simply muscle spasm. It may not be calcium issue, it may not be vitamin D issue, it can be simply your repeated use of, or rather repeated inflammation in the lumbar region, in the cervical region, in your neck. When the muscles go into spasm for a long time, then it leads into inflammation. There is constant inflammation in the body, and the body is constantly fighting, and that can also over time become arthritic. It can be even due to trauma of any kind, and muscle spasm is trauma. Childhood falls can also be trauma. Something might have got injured and might have got healed, but then it may not be exactly healed in the right way, and so forth. So any of the constant inflammation and spasm can lead to arthritis. Let's come to health now. Come to addressing of this back pain. So health, what is health and how can I be healthy? Now that I have this back pain, how do I reverse this? How do I heal my back pain, and how do I become healthy? This is everybody's concern here today. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Who says this? This is World Health Organization's definition, not any ancient definition as such. So that means even World Health Organization has recognized that health is not simply an absence of disease. So if you take this definition and come to our yogic definition, where we say swastha, that is when I am established in myself, swa and stha, when I'm established in myself, I'm healthy. That's what yogic definition says. That means if you need to understand what is that swastha means. Yoga, before that, we need to understand Panchakosha model of or personality, which yoga defines. And when you understand that, you will understand what is swastha, that is health, being established in myself. In yogic model of health, we define health at 5 levels. That is at the physical body, Annamaya Kosha, at the top layer here, or rather we should say outer layer. And then within that is Pranamaya Kosha, the vital sheath or the life force that distinguishes the dead or inanimate object from the living object. That is, there is prana in that. For that matter, we don't really say that there is no prana in the inanimate objects or dead objects. It's just that it's so minimal there compared to the living creatures, that we are filled with prana and we are filled with that vitality, which makes us move, which makes us blink, which makes us do various activities, and we are alive, fighting all the bacteria and various things that constantly attack us. That's why when a person is dead, in a very few hours, the degeneration begins, because there is no fighting ability, because there is not much of prana there to fight the infections or the attacks by the bacteria. So that is the pranamaya kosha. And deep within is the manomaya kosha, the mind layer, or we can say feelings and thoughts that we get. That is, I want coffee. And that's when pranamaya kosha acts and goes, and we go and get coffee. So it's the mind that guides the prana. So that's called manomaya kosha. But something even deeper than that is vijnanamaya kosha, or the intellect sheath. Vijnana means intellect, and when where mind is an emotion, something needs to tell the mind that there is an object which the mind then desires or hates. So there is a knowledge of the object that comes first before the liking or disliking of an object or any kind of feeling comes. So feeling has to only comes following the knowledge of the object. So that is why Vijnanamaya Kosha is kept at a higher level. And in a typical situation, we tend to, even Vijnanamaya Kosha even overrides the thoughts and emotions. For example, if I see a beautiful rose and I want to pluck it from a garden, the Manomaya Kosha says, hey, go pick. Pranamaya Kosha is ready to go and pick. Vijnanamaya Kosha says, wait, that's not your flower, that's your neighbor's garden. And then Manomaya Kosha may withdraw from that. So Vijnana is separated from Manomaya Kosha per yogic psychology by the sages, and you can see how evolved this thinking and this classification is. Whereas Western world has put everything under mind, the Indian psyche and Indian psychology has separated and classified them as two separate things, where we say Nishchayatmakam Samshayatmakam Manaha, Nishchayatmika Buddhi. That means when the mind suspects, the intellect decides. Intellect is discerning factor, whereas mind's job is to suspect. So that is the classification given here. There is so much more that can be talked about it, but the idea here is that there is a hierarchy to all of this. Now comes deepest layer called Anandamaya Kosha. That is when all of these outer layers are calmed down. Are we going to say that we don't exist? I sit down for meditation, I calm down my physical body, my prana is minimal, my mind is not thinking anymore, my intellect has no job, and then I'm sitting there. Do I still exist? I do exist. And whatever is that sheath that makes me feel that I exist is that Anandamaya Kosha, when all other outer layers are transcended. And that Anandamaya Kosha is myself. When I'm established in myself, when I'm swastha, I'm always healthy. When I'm repeatedly in my Anandamaya Kosha and I occasionally come down to all these other layers, then I'm established in myself. This is the definition of yogic self. And sorry, this is a longer explanation of health than the United Nations definition of health. For a reason, we bring this model and we'll go see what that is. Before we go there, what health is and what yoga is, let us see what is not health and how we result into this ill health. And you're all very familiar with that, and that is the common buzzword stress. Stress, according to even modern definition of stress, it is a response to a given stimulus. There is a stimulus and there is a response. So that response is what causes us stress. And stress is inevitable part of life. You cannot think that you can have a stress-free life, because that's not how we are made. We all, every animal, every creature is born to experience stress, because if you even watch Animal Channel, you will see that even to get a piece of meat, the animal has to go and hunt, that too when the animal is hungry. So you can see how much stress that would be. Hunger itself is stress. On top of it, you have to go find food. So stress is inevitable part of every animal's life, and that comes from the environment, it comes from the bodies, it comes from thoughts, various things. And stress is not a bad thing. Stress is, to a certain degree, stress is needed for all of us, for us to function properly. Because if you really sit down and have nothing to do, you will get bored. And that is, we see that among seniors. They feel pretty stressed out because there is nobody to talk, no huge stimulating activities. They sit and watch TV all day, mainly because they lack the strength to go out and socialize and things like that. But at the same time, you can see that when there isn't much to do for us, we are not going to be happy about it. That is also a tension. So we have that tension of less stress. And too much stress is also not good for us. We get into fatigue initially, and then as it continues and we have take more and more, then we get into exhaustion and ill health. So then obviously we have to balance that. And there is some zone for all of us called comfort zone, as you can see in this graph. And that is where we are most comfortable taking that much stress. Now, is that where we constantly want to be, or how do we heal our back pain? We have been taking more, and that's why we are in this fatigue state. So let us initially take a back seat, take a step back, and let us consciously come back to our comfort zone. But then what happens to the work? What happens to the assignments and whatnot? With yoga, this comfort zone can start moving to the right, and the hump can become bigger and bigger. You become more productive. You become less worried about little things. And that baggage of worry that we take and the baggage of stress that we carry reduces with yoga. And then your comfort zone starts moving to higher and higher curvature. So we'll see how that happens. Before that, let us see what is it that happens when you take stress and get into this exhaustion and ill health, right? What causes that? There is something called sympathetic and parasympathetic response of the nervous system. And this is pretty much, for the most part, like when you go meet a lion in the forest, what happens? You just have to run. So something sympathizes with you. What sympathizes with you? It's your body that sympathizes with you, because you are designed to survive. And your survival instinct brings up a lot of cortisols, the stress hormones, adrenaline rushes, and your muscles go into spasm. Your muscle tone goes high, and your blood pressure goes up, and your heart rate goes up, your breathing rate goes up, so that you can run. And meanwhile, your digestive system says, okay, you don't have to digest right away. Don't worry, I have enough food and enough nutrition in my various stored places. There is adipose tissue where a lot of fat is there. Let me burn that. That too, if you run long enough, that is. Or if you you need minerals and you need lots of those nutrition, which is stored in the bone marrow, in various places like that. All of it is recruited, and you use up all of that, and you run away. And finally, you are in the safe hiding. And then you feel tired, you sleep, you rest, and you digest, and you feel hungry, and you eat, and all that. This is a balance. But unfortunately, that balance is lost because we are in a constant running mode. And when that happens, and that too, stress is imaginary for the most part, because you don't really you're not running. You're probably stuck in the traffic for the most part, or you are simply sitting somewhere and on the computer, and you're just worried. And that worry is causing you stress, not really a lion in the forest. And you're not running anywhere. You're not burning any calorie. You're simply stressed. And this prolonged stress can cause issues. What are those? Your sympathetic nervous system is on a heightened alert all the time. Your cortisols are going haywire, pouring into your system, and there is your reproductive system is affected. So all various, immunity is low. Your stomach digestion continuously, that is getting affected, because you're not stressed one day. It's not an episode. It's just constant process, day after day after day. Your blood pressure increases. The load on the heart increases, because you're constantly, your chest is beating like any, your heart is beating like anything, and your muscles tense up because you're supposed to run away from the danger, but danger doesn't exist. It's just imaginary danger, and it's a constant danger that you're living in, as if a sword is hanging on your head. So this muscle spasm that we talked about is basically what causes the back pain with the continued effect of stress. And coming to this little flow chart, what is really happening in stress? Like we said, it's the meeting of the lion, but that's not what is happening in our case. So basically, where is stress then? We said it's a response to the stimulus. What kind of stimulus? What kind of response? Stimulus could be somebody saying something to you, your mother-in-law saying something to you, your boss saying something to you, or in your relationships, your spouse, your children, anything, any relationship issue. For the most part, that's a big cause. Then deadlines and various other conflicts, like where should am I performing my motherhood right to the utmost perfection or not? Am I performing at the office properly or not? Am I a good spouse or not? Various such things, my own self expectations, my own emotional sensitivities, my own perfection nature. Many of these modern sensitivities that we have developed can cause the speed in the mind. What kind of speed is that? Not that we are really solving any problem and my mind is thinking fast towards solving a problem. No, it's simply a looped thoughts that constantly run into my mind. What kind of loop thoughts? How could you say that to me? How could you say that to me? How could you say that to me? Oh, no, I don't like this person anymore. Whatever those little small 5-6 sentences we go on repeating in our mind. And when I'm stuck in a traffic, for example, oh no, my boss, what happens to my deadlines? What happens to this? Oh, he will be mad. Oh, that happens. This happens. Little things you imagine the danger, and then you are constantly worried. Are you solving any problem? Nothing. You did not solve any problem, but you just constantly were thinking about 5-6 thoughts, constant speed. But not only just that, but there is more to it. You have the word suppressed emotional speed. What is that? We try to put up a good face outside and we try to suppress those emotions, and we behave fine. We just say, hi, it's so nice to meet you, but deep inside we have problems. So we are not really venting out either. There aren't enough opportunities for venting out or expressing that in many cases. And when we do so, then also obviously there is going to be a response from the other side, which also further complicates the problem. So whether we went out in our homes and in front of our spouses or not, or whether we suppress our emotion, in both cases our limbic cortex is filled with this speed, suppressed or not suppressed for that matter. In the most cases it is suppressed. When that happens, the tree of our faculty of our body, what is that tree? The tree has many branches. That is autonomic branch, the degenerative branch, or the muscle contraction, that is voluntary nervous system, or autonomic nervous system is involuntary nervous system. And then there is endocrine system. Various systems of the body get affected. And when that happens, except in case of some autonomic nervous system related issues, most of the other faculties listed here, whether it's early aging, whether it is voluntary nervous system with muscle contractions, or endocrine system, it all leads to back pain through various pathways, as we are seeing here. Or even trauma is given separately here, because that is this is not exactly, it may not be related to the speed of the mind. It can be an external cause, such as an accident or an injury. So that is called anadhija vyadhi. There is a word even for in yoga for that, called anadhija vyadhi, which is external cause. That could be the reason for that. Or otherwise, you can see that there are a million causes which can be due to stress and speed of mind. And stress equals speed of mind. And like we said, it is our own desires, the pleasure-seeking mind, that we run after one thing after the other. And when that one thing after the other is not available for us, we get stressed out. The relationships, people said this, my boss said this, and various such relationships can cause problems. Adverse situations such as being in traffic, being in, not being able to perform to your fullest extent of desire can cause problems. And avidya, your own perception. For the most part, it is the notion of me, my life is supposed to be like this, but it is not like this, and things like that. That is imaginary cause. Like we said, that like you see in this picture, a lion looking, a cat looking into the mirror and seeing a lion. Because I want to be lion can be the reason. Why am I sitting as a cat? Could be the cause. Or I look at my own, inner problems or imperfections, and I see skeletons in my closet, and I'm not happy with that. So my own self-expectation also can cause a lot of problems. So the stress is basically in the mental sheet, as we said, and this could be worked upon. And how? Holistically. We work on this holistically. What is that holistic healing that we at Yoga Bharati help you with? We help you with physical practices. What is needed? What are the principles of back and neck pain treatment here? One is the spasms have to be treated, which means we need to stretch those muscles. And that's not enough. We need to also strengthen those muscles, because stretching is fine initially, but then if they are not strong enough, then you will continue to experience problems. So we need to strengthen those muscles. And what is the other main issue? That is, we don't breathe properly because of stress. We are either constantly shallow breathing, we are hyperventilating. That is, we are simply just going on breathing without allowing the need for the breath to kick in. There is a philosophy about hyperventilation. You may want to Google search that, and that can also cause problems. So we help you with breathing. We help you with meditation, because mind is the source of the problem. So then the solution also have to be the mind and the notional correction. Like we saw that in the previous slide, we saw this avidya, perceptions, ego and notions. So then we have to work on that, because that is one of the main reasons why we continue to cause problems. We may be stretching constantly, we may be coming to yoga classes constantly, we may be going to physical therapy, all those things, but until and unless we fix those notional corrections and we understand life as it is, the reality of life, and accept that, we will continue to damage our back. And so yoga is a skill of action, like we said. It's the mastery over mind, and yoga helps you to not react, but respond. Basically, we have this quick, impulsive way to react to situations. And when we give that little gap between the stimulus and the response, we understand, we come out much, much more effective in our dealings with our relationships, in our working in various projects of life, or various roles as mother, as a spouse, as a co-worker, as a employee. Will be able to handle everything much better, and that might help us to reduce the stress. So there are techniques that we teach you to help you calm down, and see for yourself what is the best way to handle life. So wisdom is within. It's not like we are teaching you how to react to the world. You know how to react to the world when you slow down. And that slowing down is what we help you in this yoga session. We give integrated approach of yoga for physical body. We have asanas, cleansing kriyas. We help you be mindful in your diet, sattvic diet, and bandhas are the holds or the locks that we help you with, understand how they help. So all these help you at the physical level, at the pranic level. We have pranayama practices. At the mind level, we have meditation techniques. At the intellect, we have, as we talked about, happiness analysis. Is happiness intrinsic to me? Or is happiness coming from the vastu, the objects? Do they give happiness? Uh, like we said, swastha, when I am happy, happiness and health is my very nature, is what we say. Swastha means I am in myself. I am anandamaya kosha. I'm always happy. And if anything, the desire for an iPhone or a desire for some object can only take me away from happiness. And when I get my iPhone or my whatever I have desired for, the temporarily my desire for another object is suspended. So that means I am in my anandamaya kosha temporarily. And that's why it feels like it is as if the external object gives me happiness, but it is actually simply the lack of the next object keeps me happy temporarily. That is the object of happiness here that we want to bring up. And so at Anandamaya Kosha also, we repeatedly go back. We have a pattern to go back into being unhappy and wanting various things, or desires or sensitivities or habits or vasanas keep kicking in. And we have to, with repeated and regular practice of yoga, slowly we regress and we go back to our original nature, which is Anandamaya Kosha. And we teach you breath coordination with body movements. We teach you how to breathe slowly, which is a big task actually, because our habitual pattern is different, and we help you unlearn those patterns and help you breathe slow. And we help you to bring awareness to the breath, because slowing down of breath slows down the mind. And when you slow down at that level, you slow down your basal metabolic rate. What is basal metabolic rate? Your muscle tone comes down. When you're at rest, your muscle has to be completely supple and relaxed. And that's what happens with when your basal metabolic rate goes down. And you need to work on that. Through yoga, we are able to repeatedly reduce that muscle tone. Otherwise, you're constantly holding as if, you're ready to run, even though there is no running that's ever happening. So that yoga helps you reduce that BMR and helps you improve digestion, and also helps your cellular oxygenation. And with breath awareness practices, we work on the pranamaya kosha. And as we talked about with the various techniques like deep relaxation, we also work on chantings. How does one relax is very important for us in our techniques, because everybody is different. Some people relax with instructions, some people cannot relax with instructions. We give chanting sounds, and sound can relax some people. Imagery and visualization techniques can help other people. So various techniques help different people, and not only that, different techniques help on different days also to some extent, because if we bring the same technique over and over again, the mind says, okay, all right, I know how to do this. And then it becomes like a automatic activity, like a driving. When you're driving, you're not absolutely sitting there awarefully driving. You just think about and talk about other subjects. Driving becomes automatic. Similarly, when you practice the same yoga technique, like let's say if we gave you a recording, we don't mind. Happily, there are lots of recordings and YouTubes out there, but after a while of watching the same thing, it just mind becomes passive after that and says, okay, fine, the body is moving, the mind is not on that. So we bring different techniques on different days, different techniques for different temperaments, and we help you with that. Finally, the 4 streams of yoga. Yoga doesn't end with the mat. It just begins with after the end of the 1 hour is when yoga begins, is what we say. Why is that? Because if you just do 1 hour a day, at the most you'll be doing 1 hour, 2 hours a day, and that's not yoga. Because that's only relaxing for 2 hours and then abusing for the rest of the 22 hours, then you are not going to heal completely. The best way to heal is when you are in yoga 24/7. How is that possible? You are constantly doing some action or the other. So when you have the right attitude towards work, and work with a detached mind, not oriented towards results. Am I a good mother? Am I a good spouse? Am I a good employee? Constant baggage of that performance and that perfection. When that is removed, then your work flows out of you like milk flows out of the boiled milk. When your milk is boils, it just simply flows out. When the cow when the udder is full, the cow gives milk to the calf, the milk flows out of the udder, as they say. And that's the kind of work that we are supposed to do, and karma yoga helps us think about that. And bhakti yoga, for example, is not many of us have this notion that bhakti yoga means going to the temple and doing some pujas. That is fine, and that exists, but mostly it is the attitude of life with which you live, that is to love and to accept the situations as it comes. When the divine has created us, when some higher power has created us, it knows how to take care of us. It knows, and I am here, everything here is divine, everything here is good, and every illness, every adversity is an opportunity for me to make the best use of how to live well, is the motto of bhakti yoga, and we learn to develop that attitude as well. And jnana yoga is about reflection, contemplation, and understanding this the temporal nature of the world, and this 4 dinka, like 4 days of drama that we are here for. And do we really take it so seriously? All the emotional baggage that we carry, is it really worth it? Is my back pain really, is it required? Do I need to create all these things and add to back pain? Is something that constantly you reflect upon, and that is jnana yoga. And with all these different disciplines, Raj Yoga, of course, we saw that yoga on the mat, yoga on meditation, pranayama, all of that is Raj Yoga. With all these practices, combining them, we finally reach that ananda, that swastha, that health. And that is what we do here. And finally, we say yoga is a homecoming. Basically, it's not about doing something that we don't know. We already know all of this. We already are what we are talking about here. Yoga is a conscious process of going back to our nature. To be healthy and happy is not just our right, it's our very nature. Happiness and health is our very nature. And we have chosen to move away from our true nature so far, and getting into trouble, getting into pain. And let us choose to come back home and be in our original Anandamaya Kosha, and not get caught up in the Manomaya Kosha and its speed of mind. And let us practice yoga now, and practice with smooth and effortless way, without jerks, without overdoing anything. Again, perfection, perfection, perfection. That has been the cause of the problem. Let's not take that problem to the yoga mat also. We just work on effortlessness. Prayatna Shaitilya Ananta Samapatti are the goal here. And we want to be in Sthiram, Sukham, and that is stable, comfortable, effortless, and timeless feeling. That is yoga. And let us work on that. Feel all the changes, and hope you have talked to the doctors, and hope you know what you should not practice. Listen to your body. And that is the presentation. And Sukhi and Kirtida have come up with some of these pictures here, some of the basic relaxation poses. Makarasana helps us with the back, very, very helpful. Shavasana with legs bent, and for acute back pain, we give pelvic tilt, spinal press, pressing the spine to the ground, crunching the abdomen, and that is the practice. You can always unmute and talk. Then we have some basic relaxation poses showed here. Take a look at them. And of course, everything cannot be given to everybody. Some of the acute back pain, one may need to look into it. I don't know what this middle pose is. This seems to be a very interesting Shalabhasana. We have Shalabhasana, all these poses, Kirtida, Sukhi, we have our own manual pictures. If you want, I can share that. Use those. So we have the list here: Marjalasana, Shashankasana, Pavanamuktasana, Yogi Crunches, Setubandhasana, Shalabhasana, alternate leg raising, Sukshma Vyayama. For the neck pain, Marjalasana with awareness on the neck, then Shashankasana with Makara chanting, neck movements, slow neck movements with breathing and awareness. If it is whiplash kind of injury, you may want to give supine neck movements, because many of the whiplash, even just sitting for that long, will be painful for them. So you may want to give a lot of supine practices there. Supine breathing practices, divert prana away from the neck, dorsal stretch, yogic crunches with neck support. Sukshma Vyayam helps them as well. Pranayama, we don't really, on that day, you may not want to bring Kapalabhati, but Kapalabhati itself is a pretty good practice for people with pain conditions if they are not into pain while doing the practice. So if that's the case, then it's a contraindicated for back pain, but otherwise, or even neck pain also for that matter. It's, if they don't have pain while doing, then they can start, even the gentler practice is fine, because when you increase the when you do fast rhythmic breathing, the second minute and a half or 2 minutes is what matters a lot. That is called slow rhythmic breathing. When you do fast rhythmic breathing, you enable slow rhythmic breathing. And it is this fast and slow rhythmic breathing together as a combination helps back pain or any pain condition for that matter. And there are lots of researches on how breathing practices help with pain condition, but you have to understand that Kapalabhati itself is not the research proven technique for pain conditions. It is the slow rhythmic breathing that follows the fast rhythmic breathing that helps the pain conditions. So you have to understand that if you give 1 hour, 1 minute of Kapalabhati, are you doing enough meditation after that? Are you giving 2 minutes of meditation after Kapalabhati with Sahaja Pranayama? And that Sahaja Pranayama is the most important one. And I see that most of the teachers just focus on Kapalabhati as a practice. That means really nothing. Many of these people with pain conditions have neurological disorders, neurological reasons for pain. And when they strengthen their nervous system, which Kapalabhati helps them do, then the pain also can come down. But again, if you don't follow it up with a lot of meditative techniques, and I have written the not only me, but also in fact over a period of 10 years we have written these instructions for pranayama, and recently I edited them and added all these instructions, including what you need to do in the 1 minute of Sahaja Pranayama. Even those instructions are recorded. So when you give 1 or 2 minutes of Sahaja Pranayama after Kapalabhati, ideally double. If it is 1 minute, then 2 minutes of Sahaja Pranayama with some minimal guided instructions like observe your breath and observe the Kevala Kumbhaka. When chale vatam chalam chittam nishchalam nishchale nishchalam manaha, when the breath stops, the mind stops. Observe that. If you don't want to chant say Sanskrit chanting the Sanskrit sentence, that's okay. But giving that even in English, when you explain, all of these things add a lot of value. And those who can say in Sanskrit, please do, because as soon as you use these sentences in Sanskrit, the reverence that people develop for us is just unbelievable. The faith suddenly improves tenfold. Yesterday, I was just talking to some lady who was a yoga teacher and who came and started talking about her major, like, evidence-based practice. And I teach in El Camino Hospital, this, that, and everything. Vini Yoga, some techniques. And yesterday, I told her what we do, and I brought up with this concept of kartum akartum anyatha kartum. These are our techniques. And what she said, what? I said, oh, the kartum akartum anyatha kartum samarthaha. Basically, it means this, to do or not to do is your choice. And this is our focus is on stress and how one can address and all. And she said, wow. She was a teacher of 20 years, or with 20 years experience. She said, wow, you guys approach from knowledge point of view. I said, yeah, we approach top down. And she was talking about, oh, you know, in my first class I talk about forgiveness. In the second, I mean, she didn't use the word forgiveness, something she used, gratitude. We talk about, in the second class we bring the concept of why me, and we spend time talking about why me. In the third class we talk about something, and various such things. She had given me a lecture on that, and I gave her my 10-minute scoop on stress and its factors, and what Taittiriya Upanishad says, and what Shankaracharya says on Kartum Akartum. She was like, oh, wow, blown away, totally blown away. And I said, well, this is not even all these sages' knowledge. This is grandma knowledge. For the most part, when we are worried and upset, and when, I mean, it was a cancer was the subject. And I said, you know, when someone approaches a grandma with all these problems, she'll say, beta, it's just, you know, this is life. Life is like this, man. It's 4 din ka khel hai bhai. Why are you taking it so seriously? Chalo, it's okay. You know, even Pandavas had problems. Even, you know, everybody, Rama went through forest, and look at that, all that. And, you know, who are we? Come on, you know, these things happen to us. Let's face it bravely. Even grandma says that. Forget about, you know, what do we need for this? You know, this kind of approach of yogic counseling and yoga techniques, these all you can bring in these Sahaja Pranayama, in these meditation, not exactly in this way, but in those 1 minute of meditation after 1 minute of Kapalabhati, that is where the wisdom is introduced. You don't have time to sit down and give yogic counseling, because people are not ready to listen to you. But when they have done their Kapalabhati, when they are in their DRT, when they are lying down, you just 1 or 2 sentences each time, like taking them to out of body consciousness, or simply even, you know, Panchakosha meditation, when you know, Panchakosha relaxation. I did one Panchakosha relaxation in my DRT, and people were like, wow, this was so good. What did we do? Nothing too much. It just relaxed at the body level. And then we said, you know, when we are in the middle part of the body, you know, relax your heartbeat and your breath, and that's where you let go of your pranic activities, things like that. Just building some concepts into your practice, right? As you advance in your techniques, these all help them get the basic wisdom also. So that is why bring all these techniques and work with them, not in the workshop, but in general. I was talking about that. So that's about it. And if you have any questions or anything, let me know. Sorry about the delay because we started late. I'm done. Okay. Any question?
Thank you, Ashwini.
All right then.
Yeah.
This is pretty long because the slide deck is such. If you want to reduce anything, or you want to, you can reduce significantly if you want to. There are quite a few slides. I have just kept. In fact, I also added one slide here. The flow is still kind of messy, Kirtida and Suki, because I don't know if I don't like to use somebody's slides and talk, and that's my problem. And so my chain of thoughts, I prefer to make my own. So yesterday I sat and made some more changes, but I still don't like them as the flow that my flow of mind is different. So that's why I had to repeat some of the concepts here. And also you may want to use these, each of the group needs to take these slides and fix the order in a way you want to talk. In fact, the speaker first have to fix that, not anybody else. And so go ahead, work on it, do the study group yourself, and do your presentation. Mine as a sample I just talked. And for example, I would not put too many, again, there is one more here, again, causes of back pain here. I like to bring osteoarthritis, that's why I brought this here. I would start with the big causes of back pain here as one slide, and then drill down into the other factors. So it's just, it's okay as a presentation in general, but if you want to not talk too much, this one slide is even enough. General causes of back pain has everything, including aging, tumor, everything. Then I don't like to bring this too much. I would straight away bring this disc prolapse here. I would slide 4. I don't think it's necessary for the class, for the workshop. Just this is enough. They just one, and that's already structural. And then this is important because scoliosis we want to mention, and neck pain factors are the same. So you can just one sentence. There is also too much again here also can be reduced. And then just one slide there, quickly cover that. Same thing is being said here too. Again, do we need pick one of the two? If you want to just say causes of back pain, these are all causes of back pain, RSI and all those things, and remove this slide, feel free to do that. All of you have freedom to do what you want to do. So just more is kept here so that you pick what you want to pick. Okay. And there is this prolonged effect of stress and all that. Those slides are removed. I don't know why. I like those slides. That is, if in sympathetic and parasympathetic response causes some irritation, initial manifestation, and then comes the detailed manifestation, prolonged chronic manifestation. Somehow that is also missing here. You don't need to take everything from here. So guys, and also again, causes of stress, vastu, vyakti is another. I cover usually when stress comes, I just talk about it somewhere and I don't need to do one more slide. So that all is, that messes me up. When somebody's slide always messes me up. So you guys, any thoughts there? Anybody? Sukhi, Kirtida? Unmute and talk.
Ashwini, we're still working on the slides, and with the help of Bina as well. So, but I really like the way you presented it. It really clarified a lot of information for me, and I feel confident that we'll do a pretty good job, because I can listen to your recording and kind of emulate the information that you've given. So thank you for that.
Okay, no problem. And I think, again, don't work too much on the slides as such. I think Bina, whoever is talking should actually prepare their own slides and their own order. Because if you make a standard deck and like you made that deck and I was forced to, okay, I've covered this, all right, okay, fine. You just, then the slide comes later. For me, that's what happens all the time. And so that's why you need to, frankly, it is the speaker alone. Even there are two parts here also. One is the back pain part and the other is the IAYT part. So whoever is preparing the back pain, take the first part of it and talk about it. Whoever is preparing for the IAYT, they take it from there, and both have to give mock talk with each other. So that way, you know how to pick from the other person.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ashwini. Oh, sorry, you can finish what you have to say.
Yeah. What I meant is, without that mock talk, then on that day, you will see that you want to say something, but the other person has already said it.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you. Today's talk really helps to keep the flow going, how to go from one to next. Also, I want to thank Sushma also, because Sushma also had contributed to the slides. Some of the good pictures also she brought. And now Sushma and I will work to finalize and see, because she is the one who is going to be presenting.
Sure. That's why you can always, this picture is not finalized, nothing is, this is Kirtida's deck and Sukhi's deck. So your deck can be different. You can bring your pictures, you can bring your order, and this is just a guideline, that's all.
Yeah, no, these some of the slides are really good. Kirtida and Sukhi brought, and it was good going through all that.
Actually, it was a team effort, you know. Bina worked with us, so we want to make sure that she gets credit for it too.
Don't worry about it, guys. It's just do what is best for you all, that's all. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This is Vinutra, Ashwini. I thought this is a good opportunity to ask anybody if they want to join me at Milpitas.
Right. Yeah.
It's just luring everybody. I'm the only one, so I'll be getting the whole talk. If anybody wants, please come and join. It will be fantastic to have somebody do some talking as well.
Right. Geeta, you are on mute. You think you have, are you part of Fremont team? In that case, we definitely have people. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
Ashwini, I was like, yeah, Geeta, you want to go ahead and say?
No, Bina, go ahead.
Go. Yeah. So here in Fremont, we have Sushma, who is going to be presenting, and Parul Ben is going to give the yoga class. Now we already have over 20 registration. So our plan was like, okay, if we have a lot more people, because we can fit 15 people in one room, we can have 2 classes going. So after we have presentation in one room, we can move because we have another room in the same center and have 2 classes going.
I
So
see.
Geeta was one of the candidates.
Okay, no problem.
So,
In that case, Shobha, can you come to Milpitas area? Shobha is on mute. Shobha should be able to help. We have talked, so we'll talk about that. No problem. Okay, guys. We'll end the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.